Okay, so it is time to start. I'm your host, Sarah May. I'm so excited that you could be here. This webinar is free and just some hopefully helpful information on how to help you get your child to sleep better, longer, and earlier. So I'm excited to share this with you. Okay, so hello. A little bit about me. I'm Sarah. When I had my first baby, which was over 8 years ago now, crazy, I felt really tired, overwhelmed, and lost. I didn't know it at the time, but I was doing a lot of things that were not helping me sleep and not helping the baby sleep. And in my family, all the women who had had babies had done it decades ago and didn't really remember. So I looked online, but so much of the information was conflicting. Something said your room should be cold, baby should be warm, you should swaddle your baby, don't swaddle your baby, use a binky, don't use a binky. So many conflicting pieces of information that I just felt very well overwhelmed and I didn't know what was actually helpful. So fast forward to now, I have 4 kids. I did a lot of research, a lot of different testing, tried a lot of different things, and I feel energized, capable, and confident, and I know what works and what doesn't, not just for my kids, but also for, kids that I've babysat, family members, friends, and I've had a few clients that I've worked with now, and I've seen it work time and time again um, for myself and other people. So these are what a few reviews have said about working with me. So this lovely young mom said, before working with Sarah, I put my daughter to bed at 9 p.m. Now she goes to bed at 7 p.m. every night. She still wakes up at the same time, so I have 2 extra hours to myself. I love it. And that's exactly what I want for you. I want you to be able to have more time for yourself, kids going to bed earlier, not getting up any earlier, hopefully even sleeping later, but more on that. And just everybody being in a happier, better mood. Um, and then this is what another client of mine said. She said, my 2-year-old child used to get 9 hours of sleep per night and would often be up before 6 a.m. But now, after working with Sarah, she sleeps at least 11 hours and is up after 7. And I loved working with both of these ladies, and I know that these results are definitely achievable. So I thought it might be fun to start out with some myths about sleep, um, because there are a lot of myths out there, and it's helpful to debunk those first. So, myth number one, if my child stays up later, then she will sleep in longer. I see this a lot with parents, and sadly, it is just not the truth with kids. With kids, this is something to remember. The more they sleep, the more they sleep. So sleep begets more sleep. And I've seen it with myself. Maybe you've seen it with your kids. Sometimes you put them to bed late or something happens, a family event or something. They go to bed late. You're like, oh, okay, well, they'll probably sleep in. And they never do. If anything, they're up even earlier. So sleep begets more sleep when it comes to kids. Okay, myth number two. My baby hates being swaddled. I sadly fell into this trap, into this myth, and I believed it. When my first baby was only like 3 weeks old, he kept trying to fight out of the swaddle. And so my husband and I just said to ourselves, okay, well, he doesn't like it anymore. We won't do it anymore. Wrong. That was not a good idea at all. I'm busting this myth. Your baby doesn't know what he wants. They're a baby and they have what's called a moro reflex. So that's when you see babies do that thing with their arms, like they're falling. That will wake them up multiple times in the night, so many times, as I discovered the hard way. So you are the expert on your child and you are also in charge and you know what they don't, which is okay. Um, Myth number three, this won't work for my kids. I hear this one a lot. I think sometimes in modern parenting, we have a weird, almost like a complaining brag, like, oh, my kids are so hard. That might work for your kids, but it just would not work for mine. And, each kid is different, and that is true. But I just want you to trust the process. If you really follow the steps and are consistent, your kids will sleep better. And it's true, no child's the same. We're all unique and different, but we're all human and we all have to have sleep in order to live. So there are some universal things that do apply. Okay, myth number four. I hear this one too. Our bedtime routine has to take a long time to work well. I have met some parents that are patting their baby on the back for an hour, a full 60 minutes before putting them to bed. That is completely unnecessary and also very unsustainable. That's just not realistic to happen. Um, so I'm busting that one. Bedtime routines actually do not have to be complicated or take a lot of time. They can be pretty simple and easy and quick and still be effective. Okay, so now that we've busted those myths, it's time to get to the truth, the tips for better sleep. So I'm going to share a few of them with you. Tip number one is keep bedtime and wake time consistent, as close to the same time every day as you possibly can, even on the weekends. I know that can be hard for some people. I have worked with some parents who have their kids staying up until, a certain time on school nights and then letting them stay up for hours after that on weekends. But these same parents will wake up Monday morning and their kid won't get out of bed or it's hard to get them to school on time. That's because kids thrive with consistency and they like consistency, even if they say they don't sometimes. And our brains, human brains, like consistency. Our brains are very lazy and they don't like to work. They want to find the shortest way. That's why we like habits, and habits like get hardwired into our brains. So our brain doesn't want to do a lot of work. So um, if you can keep bedtime and wake time consistent, your brain will be happier and it will actually wire that connection easier. Oh, this is time for sleep. This is time for wake. Oh yeah, just like yesterday and the day before makes it easier. Um, okay, tip number two is keep bedrooms dark and cool. Now, cool can mean a lot of things to different people, so I'm going to define it here. The research says between 60 and 69 degrees. That's the sweet spot. And that's actually quite a bit of variation in there. Probably for newborns and babies, it might be towards that 68, 69 end. Um, Maybe older kids that can have blankets and, thicker pajamas or things like that might, you could go even a little cooler than that. Um, Kind of there's some room for personal preference there, but in that range is best because if you get too hot, you tend to not fall asleep or wake up. Um, Now, speaking of cool or darkness, you do want it to be dark. And we'll get more into that in a minute. But of course, if you have young ones that need a nightlight or are scared in the dark, I don't blame them. That's totally normal and that's fine. I have worked with some families though that have a nightlight and the kid wants it right on the nightstand, like kind of in their face. You don't want that. You want it to be helpful in the room and not making it scary, but not right in their face because that kind of defeats the purpose of having a dark room. Um, and then you can darken the windows as needed. We did this for years before we invested in some really good curtains, but you can even like hang blankets up. Like in the summertime, we would put blankets up just because it's lighter so much later. And this kind of helps again with that consistent wake time and sleep time. So they're not going to bed at 10 in the summer and, 7 in the winter, whatever it might be. Um, and it doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to buy the latest and greatest curtains or blinds or whatever. You can really use what you have to make it work. And it can still be effective. Okay, tip number three is to get them active at least 30 minutes per day. Now, this can be any kind of cardio type of thing. You can do dancing, walking, biking, hiking, playing at the playground. For babies, this might be tummy time. Now, with babies, you're not going to do 30 minutes straight of tummy time. Of course, with newborns, that would not work. But do, whatever can work for the age group that you're working with. You want to get them active. And the research shows that doing cardio 30 minutes a day, even just 3 or 4 times a week, I'd say aim for every day just because that's easier to be consistent. But just 3, 4 times a week makes a huge difference in your sleep, and you're able to fall asleep better and stay asleep better because you've been active, you've used your muscles, you've tired out. And that really helps kids. And I've seen that, especially when I've done it wrong. Maybe we've had a long day, like being inside a lot, sitting a lot, then bedtime is a lot worse than those days when we've played outside and done some active play. Okay, so tip number 4, this is really big. Dim the lights and turn off screens. So this has to do with biology, and you want to work with biology. You've got thousands of years of evolution and biology, hardwired into us. You want to work with it, not against it, because then you're just fighting a losing battle. So circadian rhythms are the natural kind of timers inside your body that every cell responds to based on the light. So, hunger cues, weight cues, all those things, these are all based on circadian rhythms. Um, and now with our modern life, we have a lot of, technology and screens that kind of can mess up our natural circadian rhythms. So I recommend taking a break, pausing all screens for 60 minutes before bed. Research shows that the blue light that emits from screens actually like starts to mess with your circadian rhythms and your internal clock a lot. So 60 minutes before bed, pause on all screens. That's my high recommendation. And then also, in addition to that, is dim the lights about 30 to 60 minutes before bed. It kind of depends on your lifestyle and what you're doing. But anywhere in that spot, 30 to 60 minutes before your kids are going to be going to sleep, start dimming the lights. Like we have a little lamp that we light and we turn off all the big lights. It's really hard if you're having all these bright lights, and even if you're doing, calm things before bed, and then you just put your kids in a dark room and there's kind of no transition to helping their bodies know, okay, we're winding down, the sun is setting kind of vibe. So dimming the lights before bed is very helpful. Tip number 5, wind down like at least 10 minutes before bed. It actually doesn't have to be that long. Now, this can be like reading books or even looking through them, even if like you're cleaning up after dinner and your little one who can't read yet is looking through pictures, great. You can pray, meditate, stretch, do like baby massage, a warm bath at this time is great too, or a warm shower for older kids. Um, Inevitably you'll be doing this. And if you have a husband or male partner, sometimes they just see this as prime wrestling time and like, yeah, let's rile them up, let's just save it for the morning. This is not the time for wrestling. And I often have to remind my husband of this even now, so don't worry, that's totally normal. But yeah, just remind them to save it for the morning, and even your kids too. Maybe they get what riled up, but just we're winding down for bed. So those are the tips. And I get this question a lot, so I thought I would put it in there. What time is bedtime? What time should they go to bed? Well, one of my favorite authors ever, she wrote Oh Crap, It's Potty Training, Jamie Glowacki. She's great. She says, and I agree, that if it's past 8, it's too late. This goes for like I would say anyone 6 and under. As they get older, 8 can be a good time. Um, but yeah, so if you've got toddlers or young ones, if it's past 8, it's definitely too late. Sometimes once you get past that window, then they get like a second wind, and then you're in for a long night. So really any time between 6 and 8, there's a lot of variation here. You can find what works best for your family. Something I do to kind of think this through is, do you have to ask yourself, like, do you have to wake them when it's time to get up and they need to get ready for school or the day, or, do you have to wake them? If you do, that's generally a sign they're not sleeping enough. They should be waking up naturally on their own. If you're having to go in and like pull the blankets off and like, hey, come on, it's time to get up, that usually means they could